You are listening to 1252 Sports Entertainment. Parental discretion may be advised.
Woo! It's about that time. FatMIke, Chicago Sports. Yeah. Woo. Finally here. Shot City Sports is right here. Updates on news, get it here. No rumors, cause we keep it real. FatMIke. Sit back, relax, sugar beer one of them nights.
Hey, this is Carmen DeFalco from ESPN Chicago, and you're listening to the FatMIke Sports Show.
Hey, this is Dave Richard from CBS Sports, and you're listening to the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show.
Hi, this is Jesse Rogers from the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show.
Hey everyone, I'm Scott Merkin, the longtime White Sox beat writer for MLB.com and proud graduate of the University of Michigan. You're listening to me on the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show.
This is Chuck Arfine, and you are listening to the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show. It's the best.
Hey, what's up? This is Greg Braggs Jr. from Braggs in the Stands, and you're listening to my guys on the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show. Boom!
Hey everyone, Fred Huebner from ESPN 1000. Great to be on the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show. I'm Dan Zaborski, senior writer for Fangraphs, and you're listening to FatMIke Chicago Sports Show.
I'm JJ Stankovitz from NBCSportsChicago.com and the Undercenter podcast, and you're listening to the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show.
Hey Sparkle, you know what I listen to? It's the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show with my guy, Fat Mike. If you listen anywhere else, no jock. Listen to FatMIke. The best.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another FatMIke Chicago Sports Show. I am your host, FatMIke, and with me, as always, is my heterosexual life mate, my life partner over here, Angelo Ace Camacho. We are joined here tonight by special guests Fred Huebner from ESPN Chicago 1000 and David Schuster, formerly 670 The Score. Both these guys together have over 60 years of experience combined of experience, Chicago sports history, Chicago sports takes, Chicago sports everything. They know the city in and out way better than I do. Because combined, Angelo and I aren't even 60 years old. So there you go. All right.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. We're over.
All right, yeah,
we're just over 60
years old.
We're just over 60.
We are joined by two great Chicago sports minds here, live at the Sock Bar and Grill in Hickory Hills for St. Paddys Day. So everybody, let's hear you. Come on, let's go. There we go. All right. We're getting jacked on green beers here. We're going to be talking a lot of Chicago sports. So, guys, Dave, Fred, introduce yourselves. Let's get the bad boy out of the room.
Well, first of all, Mike, I think hate to say it, it's closer to 80 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there we go. We're okay.
Yeah, we look good, but we're a little down the road.
Well, I question that it looks good.
You look good.
Yeah, wonderful.
A couple more beers, you'll look even better.
Yes.
But yeah, Fred and I think over all these years have seen it all. We've been to the outhouse and the penthouse. I know I've covered 12 championships in person here in Chicago, 6 with the Bulls, 3 with the Hawks, 1 with each of the Cubs, White Sox, and the Bears. I know, Fred, I'm very fortunate, and I think you would say the same.
Yeah, you're also the guy that you're smart enough that, well, you liked talking to the athletes, and I liked talking to the athletes too until I was older than them, and they were giving me lip. And it's like, listen, I don't need some 20-year-old, wet behind the ears guy giving me an attitude. So then I said, okay, let's go back out to David at the ballpark because I like staying in the studio and just talking about him because I can talk badly about him as much as I want. I don't have to see him all the time. But yeah, we've done this from sports phone to 670, from sports phone to whatever the heck it was, 1160 and 820 and all that kind of stuff. So we've been all over the dial and kind of like they spread us, kind of like what Mike knows a lot about that. They spread us all around the yards, right? Yeah.
Are you saying we're fertilizers?
Yes, we can be at times. Yeah. Sometimes when people hear what comes out of our mouth, they go, "Man, you guys are just flowing from their mouth." They say, "Yeah, that happens sometimes." But yeah, we've seen it all, and it's been nice to see not only the Bulls championships, but the Blackhawks titles. Cubs and Sox both win. That was nice. It would be nice if they won more than one. in our lifetimes. So we'll see if that's going to happen.
You know,
in
and
our
I've always,
lifetime.
and I've always said this, Mike, Fred and Angelo, I'm fortunate because I've been on the front lines of
history, Chicago sports line history. And, you brought me in originally to talk about The Last Dance, and I was front line with all that. I had the best seat in the house for all of Michael Jordan's career. Of course, I was, before that and then after that, where it was bad early on, back to the Dave Corzine and Ricky Sober days, et cetera, and then as soon as Jordan left and, they brought the franchise down, it was the Tim Floyd era. That was awful. The Dalibor Bagari. So that was, you probably don't know who I'm talking
It sounds like a really fancy last name.
Yeah, it does.
Dragon Tarlach, Rusty LaRue.
But again, being courtside and watching every game that Michael Jordan pretty much played during his career is a thrill that I'll take to the nursing home someday. It could be any day now.
Well, and the thing is, when David said he was sitting courtside, David had like the best seat because there were many times he was sitting almost right at midcourt because doing stats for the opposition or doing stats for whoever, sitting right there. So anytime you see a Michael Jordan game, you'll always see David sitting courtside, which was awesome. And a great seat there. Getting to hear the stuff that you don't always hear on being there, getting to hear TV, getting to hear the interplay of the players and stuff like that. Now that's the one really cool thing that David really had a chance to do. Not necessarily talking to the players afterwards, but hearing them go back and forth with each other.
I mean, Michael Jordan, not only did I see the greatest player, but I heard the greatest player of all time because he was the all-time trash talker. And that was great. I mean, sitting courtside, my one famous story that I like to tell is I almost got killed at courtside one time when Jawan Oldham and Manute Bol got into that famous fight, and all of a sudden there was 14-plus feet falling right on top of me. And they landed right on the table right where I was sitting. So that was a scary thing. But, 12 championships, all those great games, of course. Mixed in with that are 19 or 25 inning games in baseball and rain delays. One time a rain delay of almost 8 hours. So there's pros and cons to everything, as I always say.
Okay, there's a lot of people. Something I'll tell you about David.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, there's two things I'll tell you about David. One, when you go to a Bears game, David would be the first person in the press box, and he would read every single section of the Sunday Tribune.
Twice.
Usually before the game started. And then, usually before the game, if there was a game that was about to go to extra innings and you heard someone swear, it would usually be David.
That's right.
Yeah, I think David's all for the 7-inning baseball games instead of the 9-inning games. He would come in and leave early.
When they passed this rule last year with the runners on second base and games didn't go very long,
sure.
I was applauding.
No doubt, yeah, I know, I understand. So that's fun. But when you go to so many games, and we both heard,
There we go.
I caught that one.
There we go.
So when we go to as many games and attend as many games and see as many games as we've seen over the years, we've seen so many great players. And it's just been great. I mean, it's everybody's fantasy. I was just telling earlier. We met the other day. And I've had doctors and lawyers and people come up to me and say, "Man, you guys got a great job. I wish I could do that." And I go, "You got like houses in Burr Ridge and Oak Brook and stuff like that. And you make millions of dollars.
We're in coach houses."
Right. I said, why do you want to do what we do? I said, that's crazy. And just being able to talk sports and make a living at it as long as we have is just wonderful. It's been great.
We're sort of hogging the mics here, so I appreciate.
Well, yeah, I got a lot of questions for you guys before. Mike's show. For Christ's sake, holy shit! What's going on?
Spread it hard. It's like
first 10 minutes of the day. Wow, that's all right. No, so you guys have been in the game a long time. You guys have covered a lot of different sports, but I want to ask both of you really quickly before we start diving into the hot topics of what's happened here in Chicago over the last couple of days. Dave, Fred, what's been the coolest thing that you guys have covered in Chicago in your time in Chicago covering sports? What's been the coolest thing that you guys have covered? Fred, go ahead and go first.
Probably it wasn't me covering the game, but it was me. We were doing. I was working with Mike North over at I was working the score, and we traveled to Houston for games 3 and 4 of the World Series. So after game 3. This is one of the cool things. After Game 4 was great, and then being with all the players and everything else like that. And then we had a conference room that we were doing our show from in the Galleria Hotel in Houston. So after Game 3, we were going to have Ed Farmer on. And Ed Farmer was going to come out with us at 6:30. Now, this is before the game the night before. Game 3 went 14 innings or whatever. So we call Ed Farmer, and he comes. We call Ed Farm, comes down to the room, and we start doing the show. And we're all excited. Sox are 3-0 up over the Astros. We're about ready to win their first World Series. And we said, well, thanks, Ed. We really appreciate you coming down after 20 minutes of a segment. And he looked at us. He goes, you got me out of bed. He goes, I'm here the rest of the show. And it was very cool. And then the day after they won, Jerry Reinsdorf comes down. Don Cooper comes and sits with us. It was just awesome. As a diehard White Sox, a longtime White Sox fan, having them win and being there, being able to experience all that was probably the coolest. Being there and being able to experience I've experienced.
Well, I got a lot of memories. It's funny that Fred mentioned that because that would probably be my number one memory on top of the basketball junkie that I am, and I am covering all of Jordan and being with all the championships. But I'm a White Sox fan deep down. Sorry, I'm a White Sox fan deep down.
Who's a White Sox fan here?
See, the hands are going up. Yes. Yeah.
And Cubs fan. Where's my Cubs fans at? Right here, baby. There we go. All right, there we go. All right.
And I was in Houston also. It's interesting because Fred and Mike North, they stayed in this palatial Galleria, whereas I was in some hotel that was a flea bag and then some. And actually, we were with all the people from Katrina because they moved all the people from New Orleans over to Houston, and there was like dysentery at this hotel. And I was sick as a dog for Game 4. I had 102.7.
First Corona.
Yes, it was. And anyway, but yeah, being on the field and the White Sox won that night, obviously. Well, first of all, Game 3 won 15 innings.
Yeah.
And thank God 3 won 15.
I say 14 because me and Jen Patterson after the 13th inning, we left because we had to get up for the morning show the next day. We had to get up at like 2:30, so it was already like 11 something. So he said, well, we're going to take the car back to the hotel. And then we got back to the hotel, and the next thing you know, we watched the last inning, watched the 15th inning in the bar. And then went to sleep for 4 hours separately in separate rooms. That was my choice.
Otherwise, that would have been the number one memory.
Yeah, that definitely would have been the number one memory.
Yeah, but Blum hit the home run in the 15th inning, and then of course Mark Burley got the save in that game and had a win and the save in the World Series. God bless him. One of my favorite athletes of all time.
Jeff Blum?
No. Memories. Mark Burley.
Mark Burley. 40 years of Chicago sports. Jeff Blum's your favorite athlete in Chicago?
Mark Burley. Quit drinking. Anyway, but doing all the interviews on the field. I did all the interviews on the field after the game, and so I interviewed all the players on the field, and they were all giddy as all hell. And being a White Sox fan, and it was a full moon. I remember looking up in the sky, and it was just a thrill and a half. And so many memories, but that's one of them.
Yeah,
there you go. Oh, excellent. All right, so let's kick off the hot topic here. Who's a Bears fan here?
Oh yeah!
You Bears fans!
Unfortunately,
they've all changed. They've all left after the announcement yesterday.
Now they're moving to college sports. They're moving to college sports now. Well, big news topic, guys. Angelo, man, you and I have been batting back and forth for the last 24 hours. Ever heard the Dalton news? Yeah. It's not good news, bro.
I always feel every time we talk about the Bears, it's never good news. That seems to be the new thing here. They always seem to take over the Chicago sports world, never for a good thing. It's always something bad. Just like this Andy Dalton signing. The Jermaine Ifedi thing is kind of weird to me also. He played pretty poorly last year. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing over there.
Well, they're saving money by having Jermaine Ifedi come back because saving money by having Jermaine. They actually, you've got to be honest. Their offensive line the last 5 or 6 games played well, and I know every time I say that, every single time I say that, Mike starts laughing at me because he says, "Well, they played crap teams."
Right.
Well, yeah, but you can only play who you play. I mean, so their offensive line did pretty good with Mustafa and Mars and Whitehair and then Ifedi. So now they're counting on that. So I mean, we can hate what they did. But if you are a Bears fan, or if you are going to go to the games, or you're going to see them or follow them, you got to try to figure out what they're going to be able to do. And I don't think it's going to be any better than last year. And I won't be the first person, but I would have much rather kept Mitchell Trubisky person. But I would have much rather.
No, I agree. I'll let you take I'll take it.
No, Trubisky made me sick. So I'm sick of him. Here's what I think about Andy Dalton. First of all, you remember Timothy Dalton, the actor. All right, Timothy Dalton filled in for one James Bond movie.
Yep.
Andy Dalton's going to fill in for one Bears season, and that's going to be it. So they're sort of kindred at that. Here's the deal, though. As soon as Ryan Pace, who should have been fired a long time ago, as soon as Ryan Pace drafted Mitchell Trubisky, the franchise went down the shitter for about 3 or 4 years, 5 years. I'm serious. Not only did they not have to trade up for him, they should have drafted him to begin with. And when you draft a quarterback first round, much less at number 3 and only at number 2, and he fails, then you should not be able to get any other quarterbacks. Now, you got to remember, he also paid Mike Glennon $18 million to play 4 games in a Bears uniform. That's $4.5 million for the 4 games that he played. This guy should never be allowed to pick a quarterback for the Bears. But on the topic of Bears quarterbacks, I'll make everybody sick here. Here's the last Bears 20 Bears quarterbacks. You want to read them for it?
Oh my God, Cordell Stewart.
When does it start?
Rex
What's the year it starts?
Cordell Stewart, I don't know. To be honest with you,
I don't either.
Early 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
But there's not one in the bunch here.
Frenzel, Chad Hutchison, Jonathan Quinn, Kyle Orton, Brian Greasy, Jay Cutler, Todd Collins, not Tom Collins, Todd Collins, Caleb Haney, Josh McCown, Jason Campbell, Jimmy Clausen, Jason Campbell. How did we forget him? Matt Barkley, Brian Hoyer, Mike Glennon, Mitch Trubisky, Chase Daniel, Nick Foles, and Andy Dalton.
So the ones that Ryan Pace specifically has brought into the fold, it starts with Mike Glennon. Terrible. Trubisky they drafted didn't pan out, not the way they certainly hoped. Chase Daniel was a joke. A joke. Nick Foles was, they talked about, they were familiar with him from the past.
The system.
Much like Dalton is familiar with one of the coaches. It's a failure after a failure after a failure. As soon as they drafted Trubisky, this franchise went down. And it must have made a difference. And if they would have traded to get Russell Wilson, which Seattle was never going to do in the first place, by the way, they were going to give up supposedly the trade was 3 first round, third round pick, to start how they would have been. That would have put the franchise back also.
Yeah,
because no matter what the Bears did, it's because of Trubisky, they would have failed.
Right. So I remember. I mean, I've told the story, I don't know how many times. Angelo, you've heard this a million times too, as well. I remember the day that they drafted Mitchell Trubisky, and it was miserable. I mean, it was absolutely miserable. Megan and I were sitting on the patio of our old apartment. I'm sitting there watching the draft. We're doing our thing, having a fun time, and I hear that the Bears are trading up. I'm like, yeah, baby, here we go. I'm like, we're getting Deshaun Watson. He just won a national championship. Here we go. We finally got our quarterback. And I hear with the second pick overall, the Chicago Bears in the 2017 draft select Mitch Trubisky. At that specific time, I was drinking a vodka lemonade and cooking steaks on the grill.
And spitting it up.
All right. And when they said that, I'm not even joking. You can ask her. I ruined the fucking night. I was ready to throw the grill off the patio. Yeah. We're 2 floors up. I was ready to throw a flaming hot grill off the patio. I was pissed. I was livid. All right. I slammed my drink. Just downed it. I was like, you have no idea what they just did. She's like, are you seriously going to let this ruin the night? Yeah, I'm going to let it ruin the night. Because they just ruined the fucking Bears.
Yeah.
It's 5 seasons.
Yeah. Right. In a spot where you thought the Bears couldn't make a mistake, right? Deshaun Watson was just coming off of the national championship game. You think, okay, that's the guy that everybody in Chicago wants. You've had interviews with people Chicago wants. You like Michael Jordan. He's going to be this for the city. And then you go in the completely opposite way and you draft Mitch Trubisky, who, there's hope when you draft him a little bit because you're hoping, it's a new quarterback coming into the city. Maybe we'll get lucky. And then it just never clicked.
Right.
And then now you're Ryan Pace and you're trying to throw all these draft picks at the Texans to get Deshaun Watson. That's bad business. You know what I mean? When you have to go back and try to get a guy that you could have had for 1 draft pick and have to throw 6 at them to get him, it's silly.
Well, and now since we're talking about Andy Dalton, and that reminds us, we talked about it a little bit earlier here before the show started, they could have had Andy Dalton last year for a lot less than $10 million. Instead, they went for Nick Foles, paid him $20 million. Instead, they went and a 4th-round pick in order to get him. And then the year after that, they bring in Andy Dalton. They could have brought Andy Dalton in last year. Forgot about Nick Foles. Who knows what would have happened with Andy Dalton last year?
So let me ask you a question, Fred. If you're the Caskey family, you've seen this general manager give all this money to Mike Glennon and Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky, even though it was lesser money to him in his contract, and now to Andy Dalton. Why are you still employing this guy?
I know, because they like their people. They're it's one of those things where they're hiring. They rarely ever fire people. Hiring the guy, they rarely if ever they're there. and they don't seem like they have a problem.
Well,
they seem like everything's cool.
And now you get Andy Dalton, and you think, now you get Andy Dalton and Ryan Pace. Obviously, we're going to draft a quarterback in the early rounds, right? First or second round.
You think?
Now, is he going to be there 2-3 years to watch this quarterback develop? Are they going to give Matt Nagy the ability to work with a new rookie quarterback? You bring Andy Dalton in for a reason, right? He's going to obviously start this season.
How can you trust Ryan Pace and how can you trust Matt Nagy to figure out this next pick if they're going to move up? Whether they obviously they're going to have to take a quarterback, right, guys? I mean that's a no-brainer. They're going to take a quarterback this year. They have to somewhere, wherever it be. You're going to actually. You're going to believe in these guys to draft another quarterback? You're going to be fucking kidding me after the Mitchell Trubisky thing. So whoever they grab, it's going to be hit with what's the word I'm looking for here? It's going to be hit with doubt.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter who they grab, where they grab, it's going to be automatically they don't know what the fuck they're doing here in Chicago.
There was a thing on the I wasn't listening. I just watched it on the TV today. I wasn't for lunch this afternoon, and on the TV it said, "Why signing Dalton ruined the Bears' playoff chances?" And it's like, okay, I wasn't listening, but I said this has to be wonderful.
The Bears are not making the fucking playoffs.
You know what I saw yesterday? It was a stat. It was from Adam Schefter or something like that. It said as soon as Dalton was in the fold, and obviously he didn't sign officially until today,
right.
The Bears in Vegas went from 40-1 to win the Super Bowl to 50-1.
Yeah.
And listen, the people in Vegas, they always know. They just know.
Yeah.
And so they're basically saying the Bears got worse by signing this guy yesterday. It's a joke.
Yeah, it made no sense at all.
All right, and for all those people who said, well, give the guy a chance. All right, well, here. Who said, well, give the guy a chance. Andy Dalton's playoff numbers. And he was in the Pro Bowl three times. He was a good regular season team.
Yeah.
With A.J. Green being the wide receiver. But here's the four games that he's appeared in the postseason. He's 0-4.
Yeah, baby.
He's got one touchdown pass in those 4 games, 6 interceptions, 4 fumbles, and a career passing record, QB rating of 55.
All right, let's get hyped for Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton, baby. Woo!
Oh man. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, and
are they going to release anybody, or are they going to keep all of them now? What's going on?
They're keeping everybody.
The question, one of the questions is what's going to happen with Nick Foles, and one of the stranger things is how Adam Schefter said today he still thinks that Russell Wilson could get traded, and then people were talking about, okay, can the Bears still trade him? Did Seattle want Russell or Andy Dalton? Did Seattle want Russell? I mean, since they could have just signed him. So I'm not quite understanding what this whole thing is. I know. None of it makes sense.
He's not coming to the Bears, period.
Well, yeah, because why, if you're Seattle, why do you want a 20th pick on the first round? You don't want that. I don't want that.
Right.
They're very good at doing that, getting rid of money and just blowing it. And
$10 million, people keep saying 13. It's 10 plus incentives. Do you really think he's going to be able to hit incentives? He's not going to be able to hit incentives. How's he going to be able to hit incentives with these, especially if Allen Robinson doesn't sign the franchise tag here? So the franchise. Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be very, very difficult. So.
And we know that they need to address the O-line, right? So now you're in this pickle where your offensive line isn't good, and you need a quarterback. So you bring in Andy Dalton. Does that mean you look for a quarterback later in the draft? Like Mike and I, we've talked about this. We've argued about
I've
this
gotten pissed off at Angelo about this. Yes. Mike thinks that they should go offensive line heavy the first and second round.
Yes.
I agree with Mike, but I don't think
Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are going to do that. I think they know that Matt Nagy are going to do need to hit on the quarterback situation, right? So they're going to do what they need so that they can figure out a way to fix this spot. They're going to move up. They couldn't get the guy they wanted in Russell Wilson, so now the next best thing is to trade draft capital to try and get up to a top 10 pick to get somebody that they can hopefully turn into the future of this franchise.
Well, see, I mean, Bears fans might not be as upset if they move up in the draft to get one of the better quarterbacks in the draft. Okay? But then when you see they re-signed a Fetty, so maybe they're not thinking of chasing an offensive lineman in the first round, which would aggravate an offensive lineman in the first round, which would aggravate everybody in the all Bears fans. So that's one of the problems. We don't know. That's the worst part about it. For Sports Talk Radio, that's the best thing about it. We can talk forever. We have no idea what they're going to do. We have no clue what they're going to do.
Can I add this, guys, real quickly? One of my pet peeves of covering sports is that people are available or not available. And in baseball, much like most of the other sports, the general managers or vice presidents, whatever you want to call them, they're available. Baseball GMs are usually available once a homestand. Basketball, you can talk to them more often. Hockey as well. But in football, for whatever reason, your general manager, which in this instance is Ryan Pace, is basically made available twice a year.
Yep.
Okay, right before the draft, maybe right after the draft as well, and then maybe one other time. And that is always, as a reporter and a fan, has always pissed me off, because why shouldn't these guys be made available and accountable, not only to the media, but to the media through, to the fans through the media?
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
Yeah.
And then they give you the same bullshit lines every time. Well, we like this guy. We think we have a good group of guys in our quarterback room, blah, blah, blah. Like, you've said that for 5 years, and look where we're at. I'd rather be, personally, 1-15 and have a shot at the top 3 draft pick than be stuck at the 18th, 20th pick all the time.
Don't get me started on tanking, because I'm not a big fan of tanking. I can't stand that. I mean, plus you can't tell 53 guys on an NFL team that you're not going to win. You're not going to try and win. This is their career. They only have a 4-year career. You can't tank in the NFL. I mean, look, Philadelphia 76ers tank. It's taken, 8 years for them to get to where they're at now?
Believe in the process, right? Believe in the process?
Tanking doesn't work all that well. Yeah, the Cubs got a World Series. Houston got a World Series. Then Houston cheated, and the Cubs haven't gotten back. So, I mean, does it really work? You want to tank just for one championship? I don't know.
Well, my thought process is this. You paid Andy Dalton, right? Nick Foles could have done the job of Andy Dalton. Why not use that money somewhere else to improve the offensive line?
Nick Foles looks like a scared little guy running around. I mean, with that offensive line, he has no escapability at all. Not that Andy Dalton has any escapability, but, I mean, Foles didn't have any. He looked like he was just he looked like the proverbial deer stuck in the headlights, which actually on the way here and on the way home.
See a deer in the headlights?
But I'm thinking I might see one on the way out of here when I leave here. I might see one going down 95th Street. Right there, the 30 miles an hour. I know I'm going to see a deer somewhere. Just hope I see it before it sees me.
Right. What are they going to do with Khalil Mack?
They're going to continue paying the money.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
Lots of money.
If they could find someone to pick them up and trade for them,
All right.
they would send them.
Yeah, okay, so here's the question. They gave up 2 first-round picks, in essence, to get him, and then they were talking about giving up 3 for Russell Wilson. You can't keep trading away your first-round picks. That's the only way a football team ever gets good, in my opinion.
Right. I agree with you, Dave. Like, Dave, I agree with you, right? You can't keep trading away your first-round draft picks, but in the same breath, Ryan Pace's first-round draft picks have been terrible.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why you should be the general manager.
Right. I'd rather throw 3 first-rounders at Seattle to get a guy who's proven, because Ryan Pace can't seem to draft anybody correctly at the first pick, than take a shot on somebody like, Trey Lance. Yeah, he looks nice, but the Bears have screwed up the nice, but backs all the time.
I don't know. I will, but where's the gift card?
And I'm not sure what kind of offense Matt Nagy runs, because every time he goes out there and tries to do stuff, and I think Matt Nagy's play calling has been so bad the last couple of years. That's been one of the problems with the Bears and with their offense. They didn't have receivers, then they get a couple of receivers, their offensive line's no good. Then it's a tight end run offense, and they don't have tight ends. They get tight ends this year with Cole Kmet, and they don't throw the ball to him. I mean, you cannot look at the Bears team and explain what they're doing, not only in the draft, but what they're doing during the season. Cole Kmet caught everything they threw to him pretty much. Yeah, Cole Kmet caught drop a pass here and there, but then they didn't use it. And then after the game, you got to get the ball to Cole Kmet more often. You call those plays. You call the plays. They throw the ball.
Right.
We hear that so often from coaches. And I remember Dick Duran used to say that. There were
Dick
a lot of
Duran!
Yeah, there were a lot of things that Dick Duran used to say.
You asked me one of my favorite memories in sports.
Yeah.
It was watching the game with Doug and OB. I would watch the games and do the show with them periodically. And, I would watch the home games, the road games with them in the studio. And there were times when the chairs would be thrown around the room, and I had a duck. So I mean, that was some of the greatest times of all time.
Absolutely the best. There's nobody better. Nobody got madder at watching the Bears play than Doug Buffoni.
It was actually better when they lost.
Yeah, it was much better. Yeah, you don't want them to win. You want Opie and Doug to go off, and that's what they did. Very, very often.
Do we have a question from the crowd? Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on? You know, Bears have. What are your thoughts on good tight end like a while, and if really utilized tight end all that well?
Well, they gave up on Greg Olson. That was dumb.
But you know, third round. If you look back to '85, the Bears were kicking ass because they utilized their tight end between 5 to 20 yards out, and we haven't seen that since then.
They drafted somebody last year.
Cole
Kmet, yeah.
Right.
They're not using them.
And I think it's funny because Matt Nagy has always said
What are
that.
your thoughts on that?
They've
All of us or who?
They've screwed up. What else can you say?
You know, it's a continual. You know.
Yeah, they've screwed up.
So, like, Matt Nagy has said that his offense revolves around having that U tight end position. And then they never utilize the tight end. They don't even try to.
Well, I mean, you're still betting on Ditka to score a touchdown for crying out loud. For fuck's sake, Angelo.
For fuck's sake, why don't make anything? Why don't
Trade, I know this is going to be weird. When Trey Burton was healthy, they used him.
Yes.
And then he stopped catching the ball, and he had that problem where he didn't play. That was it a playoff game? No.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a playoff
Yeah, it was a playoff
He
game
didn't
against
play,
Philly.
and he was hurt, and
And they got rid of him.
right, and then he actually played pretty well with the Colts last year. So when there was a chance, but the thing was when they didn't have one, or they didn't even try to throw to the guys that they had, and it's a tight end offense. Look what Kansas City does. When Kansas City didn't throw to Kelsey, they'll throw to someone else. They'll have another tight end. Kelsey, they'll throw to someone else.
Right.
That's the way they run that offense, and it just shows the difference. Getting out of the Andy Reid calling plays, Matt Nagy.
All right, so I want to make this announcement to the crowd. We have lots of nice prizes here.
Yes.
And though it's not Christmas, we're going to treat it like Christmas. It's obviously St. Patty's Day. But we're going to treat this like Christmas. We have a lot of good gifts to give away.
Yes,
Why
we
don't
do.
you run down the gifts, Mike, and then we're going
boy.
to do a real quick, not a raffle prize here, but a real quick trivia question.
So all
For
up
a
front
prize.
here, guys, we got 2 booze baskets. We got 2 gift cards to Resurrection Inc. out here in Bridgeview, Illinois for $100 off total on a tattoo. We also have 2 foursomes to Water's Edge Golf Course with the cards up here that you guys can raffle on. We have a William Refrigerator Perry signed jersey with a certificate of authenticity.
That's worth something, folks.
And we also have a Dave Duerson, Richard Dent, Wilbur Marshall, and Otis Wilson signed Chicago Bears mini helmet up here. Not only that, but we got the new hottest backyard game for all your tailgating events, barbecue events, all that other stuff. This game called QB54. It's kick-ass. Make sure you guys put your raffle tickets in. We'll get it on going. We also have a 50-50 split the pot going around, too. So make sure you guys are buying in.
And we have, with some trivia questions, we got some smaller prizes here. And right now we're going to do that. This is a $10 gift card and a koozie to Nick and Ivy's Brewing Company in Lockport.
It's awesome.
It's a great
Fred loves it. Fred loves it.
Awesome.
All right,
I love him, too.
We're going to start with a hard question. Are there really any hardcore Bulls fans here? Yes. Okay. Woo! All right. This is a tough one, folks. Michael Jordan's number 23 is retired. Who was the last player before Jordan to wear number 23?
That's a good one.
Anybody? Yes. Well, of course somebody did.
I know a guy that wore it well before.
Who was that?
Roland Garrett.
Roland Garrett.
Wasn't Roland Garrett. Okay. But that's a good guess.
Can I throw a hint out there?
Yes.
Was it a white guy?
Yes.
Okay. Think about it. A white guy in the NBA that really, come on, it should help everybody.
Good enough. Okay, I'll tell you this one because this is a tough one. It was Mike Bratz. Mike Bratz. He also played for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
What's that? No. This would have been late 70s.
Late 70s, right.
Well, actually, Jordan came in the 90s, so it would be probably the 80s. Or, the 80s. Late 70s, early 80s. Anyway, I'm just going to throw this one, whoever catches it. How's that?
Do it. Yeah, do it. Whoever catches it.
That's $10 on the floor.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have some other ones as we go on.
Yeah, it's a great brewery. I had a chance to go there a couple weeks ago.
I actually stopped by there the other day to grab those gift cards, Fred. Did you have the Girl Scout cookie beer that they had over there?
No.
It tastes exactly like a Samoan cookie. I'm talking to the owner, Paul, and I'm talking to the brew guy. His name is Chad. I'm talking to Chad. I'm saying I had a few. I'm like, man, this is way too fucking good. Like, this is way too good. Like, what are you doing to me here? I could have had about 7 of those things sitting there, man. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. They were absolutely delicious.
Stuff. They just started. They're doing a bunch of stuff. And it's a perfect place in downtown Lockwood.
Not only that, but then Paul doesn't let me leave. He just keeps on giving me beer after beer after beer. It's like, let me go home already, Paul. What are you doing?
Nothing wrong with that.
I have to drive home, bud.
Yeah, nothing at all. You know, I listen to radio all day long today, and it's really difficult because you just listen to a lot of people complaining about Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else to do. We haven't seen him play. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him play with the Bears with this offense. Right now, all we can do until the season starts is complain about it or see what they're going to do. There's still other things they have to do. There's still other people they have to sign. What they're going to do with some of the defense. There was a report earlier today that Kyle Fuller was going to get traded sometime today.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I heard about that.
No, it didn't happen. No. But you never know where some of these reports are coming from.
Right, and like Mike and I have been talking Bears since the beginning of the season, and it seems like every time we talk about the Bears, it's nothing positive.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
We've had discussions where we purposefully try to find positives with this football team, and it's so hard to do. It's always me and Mike end up arguing about something, getting mad, and then going to the next topic. It's crazy.
So where do you if you guys are in Ryan Pace's seat as it sits right now, if you guys are in his seat, where do you guys go in the draft? What do you do? Are you drafting O-line or are you taking a quarterback? You moving up to grab a quarterback? What do you guys think?
I'm going offensive line. I mean, they're offensive. Listen, you don't win anything unless you have an offensive line.
Right.
I know you don't win anything without a quarterback.
I told you, Angelo. You son of a bitch. I told you.
We all told him.
That's true. They did all try to.
Sorry to cut you off, Dave.
No, I would start offensive line, but I'm taking a quarterback unless I sucker somebody, which I don't think he's capable of doing. He's capable of being sucker.
Right, he's the sucker.
Right, more than once, by the way. He'll probably take a quarterback somewhere in the second, maybe third round. I don't know what the list of players is at that point. I have no idea.
And the one thing, Mike, I don't know if you agree with me or not, you guys, but I hate that they've been taking so many quarterbacks, and not the Bears, but everybody. They take
They haven't taken any.
They take quarterbacks far too early in the draft. All of a sudden, they Trey Lance. Okay, come on. Where's it? This guy's playing in North Dakota State. Well, we've seen North Dakota State quarterback, right? Is there a Carson Wentz went there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you see, they boost all these quarterbacks. They boost them so high. My biggest thing is you can win.
My biggest
average to above average
quarterback. You don't need a huge star quarterback, in my opinion.
You have the rest of the players. Let's be honest. Tom Brady started the Patriots. He's not a tremendous quarterback. He had people around him. He had a line. I'm going back to the Joe Montana year. Joe Montana was a third round pick. Brady was a sixth round pick. Yeah. I mean, Russell Wilson was a third round pick. You don't need to draft these guys in the first round and blow your wad on a guy like that. And for some reason, the entire NFL, they say they don't need to. All of a sudden, they draft all guys quickly, and then they just encourage everybody else to draft them quickly. That's why there's so many quarterbacks running around. How many people here think Tua's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL?
I don't believe in any Alabama quarterback, and that's just me.
That's true.
That's just me. I don't believe in any Alabama quarterback.
Jesse Palmer's a hell of a broadcaster.
Exactly. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
But doing what he does, exactly. Yeah. All right, but like the thing that I don't get, okay, like I understand the hype behind Trey Lance. He is a lot more hype, or not Trey Lance. Yeah, Trey Lance out of North Dakota State University. Right. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Justin Fields there for a second. I understand the hype of this kid out of North Dakota State. This kid looks to be legit. And let's not
take him in the first 12 picks, though, or something like that. Is he have value?
I wouldn't take him in the first 12 picks, but 12 on, 13 on, I'd take a chance on him. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. That dude legitimately almost had an MVP season if he wasn't hurt. All right, he would have. Who would you rather have, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles? I mean, going forward, going forward today,
yeah.
Right? No, but that's what I'm saying. Right now, that's what happened that year. Is that he got hurt.
What did you think about this whole rumors? I mean, the rumors before.
What did you think about this
before
whole
he went to
before he
Indianapolis? That you want Carson Wentz with the Bears?
No, only because of the fact because I know that our O-line is shit. All right.
Yeah, but no matter who your quarterback is, your O-line is going to be bad.
Exactly.
I know.
And I've been on that wagon. I mean, you could ask Angelo all the way up until last year. I've been on this wagon that they need to fix what comes first, and when everything comes first, it's the O-line. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, you win games on O-line and D-line.
Right.
When the Bears won in '85, yeah, they had Payton, yeah, they had some other guys, but it was the O-line and the
Jimbo
D-line.
Covert.
Yeah,
guys, but
Mongo,
I've
done enough shows with Mongo. He'll tell you stories. It was him, Hampton, Dent. Those were the guys that made that team. And then the O-line was, when you have Covert and you have Hilgenberg, and it's the O-line and the D-line that make teams what they are.
Right.
Give the protection to the guys, the skilled players, who then don't have to get hit.
Right.
The other guys are out there getting, breaking bones and doing stuff that's going to hurt them the rest of their lives, so that the other guys can run around and prance around the field.
And exactly. And Angelo and I have had these. Let me try to these discussions where it's even if you had guys like Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes behind this Chicago Bears O-line, would they be what they are currently? No fucking way would they be what they are.
How many times did you hear people after the Super Bowl, and then people say, well, that's what Patrick Mahomes would look like with the Bears offensive line. Or Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play in Houston because his O-line sucks. Come on, really? I mean, look at the Bears O-line.
So let me ask you this question. Adam Schefter came out with a report that said that the Bears and Seattle trade talks aren't dead yet, right? So let's say trade day, the Bears trade 4 first-rounders to pull up.
4? Yeah. Now we're up to 4?
Well,
they were up to
4. Right. So let's say they trade 4 first-rounders to get Russell Wilson. Would that piss you off?
Yes. Yeah. You can't trade
for Russell Wilson.
I don't give a shit.
Yes, only because of his age. No. For Russell Wilson, only because of his age. Yes. Deshaun Watson.
Well, I agree with that.
Take him.
I agree with my thought
process.
Wait.
More than 2 first-rounders.
Wait a second. You are giving up 4 first-round picks for Russell Wilson? No, you're not.
Not Russell Wilson, only because of his age.
Right. I get it. But my thought process is this: what has Ryan Pace done with first-round draft picks?
Shit.
Exactly.
Wait a second.
Exactly.
He's brutal.
Might be with an old manager.
I like how Francis is brutally honest. He's
that
brutal.
is true, but I feel like
terrible.
if you bring in a Russell Wilson, you automatically improve as a team, hands down, right? So you get rid of some first-round draft picks, but Russell Wilson's going to make you a 10-win team every year by himself. You don't think so? Look what Mitch did. And you're going to bring in a guy like Russell Wilson who can move better than Mitch, who can throw better than Mitch, who can read a defense better than Mitch, and you're going to expect him not to at least win 3 more games a year? So then those first-round picks end up being.
Is that what he means? Super Bowl?
Well, no. But,
okay, so what
are they
winning
Super Bowl? No, Super Bowls now. Right. That's what I mean.
That's the ultimate goal.
Right.
Here's the way I look at it. If you can't find a quarterback in the draft, your first, second, or 6th round, and develop him, that's the only way. Ultimately, if I'm a general manager, I'm turning a team into winner. I'm going to develop my own. Now, every now and then, obviously, free agency helps you out to trades, but. For my team, I'm going to find a quarterback somehow, some way in the draft, and I'm going to develop myself. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be a general manager.
So that brings me to my next thing. There was a lot of argument, like, what was the problem? Matt Nagy or Mitch Trubisky? Do you think that everybody in Chicago is just so completely inept at developing quarterbacks that Mitch didn't stand a chance? Or is it Mitch just wasn't getting it?
Mitch can't read defense.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not, they talk about arm strength and all the other stuff.
Very, very rarely do you have the guys showing the deep.
Right, he played 13 games.
13 games.
13 games, and he couldn't even beat out the guys in front of him when he was a young quarterback in college.
He can't read defenses, and that's a big problem when you come to the NFL. Yeah,
That's on pace.
I blame Nagy a lot for his play calling because you have this quarterback. You know what he can do and what he can't do.
You have this quarterback. I thought he put him in positions where he knew he couldn't do what he wanted him to do.
Then
you have to change your offense. You change your offense for your talent. You don't make your talent for your offense.
Right.
Especially when the guy can't do it. And that's what you find out right away with Mitch.
And I think that's what Nagy did the second year, was he just made it, this is the offense that I want to run. If Mitch can run it, good. If he can't, well, then we're going to suffer.
That's what happened.
That's what I think they did.
The second season.
It's the same old thing. Is the Bears ownership a huge part of the problem? In your opinion?
Yes. Without a fucking doubt.
All right, I'm going to answer your question. Yes, they are, but I'm also going to defend them a little bit because I always hear, well, maybe a little bit of both, but to be honest with you, but I always hear from people, oh, the Bears are only interested about making money. Well, yes, they are interested in making money, but wait a second. You make more money if you win.
Guys say the same exact thing.
You make more money if you win. So if you win, you make more money. So why would you not try and win? So that all those people say they don't care about winning, that's bullshit. They don't care about winning. They just don't know how to go about doing it.
Right. They don't. The borderline thing is that they don't know. They don't have a guy in their head ups that know football.
Right.
They don't have anybody in their ownership that know how to build a football team and know football.
Right.
They don't have a football guy.
Like they talked about.
Okay. So who would be our?
They don't have any.
They don't have it.
Louis Riddick. I would call Louis Riddick in to run a whole organization.
Yep. Thank you.
I got football guy.
Me too.
He's a football guy.
A football guy. A guy that knows
Louis Riddick.
They talked about how Ted Phillips isn't the football guy, yet he makes the Ryan Pace decision, who's the football guy, right? How do you do that if you don't know what you're doing for the football operation?
Right.
Like, I don't think it's crazy to bring in a guy like Louis Riddick.
No, he's still there. No one's out. No one. The last 2-3 years, no one's decided to make him a job.
Right.
He's applied and he's interviewed for all these kind of jobs. He's interviewed for these jobs. He's interviewed for Paddys jobs. He's interviewed for football operations and all that stuff. And head of everything. And they have not given him the job. And we hear him enough. He knows the stuff. He knows the people. He knows everybody in the league. You're right. What Angela says is exactly right. Ted Phillips may not make football decisions, but he is part of the group that hires the GM.
Right.
And I don't know how he can hire a general manager when he doesn't know what the hell he's looking for.
Right. 100%.
And that's one of my big things.
Right.
So
it's a joke.
People keep, and the one problem is you can hope that the Bears are going to sell the organization. Why would they do that?
They're making millions of dollars. Before the season starts, with the TV contracts, which are going to go up, before the season starts, they get a check
from the NFL, probably direct deposit.
They get money put into their account that pays for all their salaries.
Right.
The attendance, all that does is pay for the peripheral stuff. The Bears just built a whole new thing up there in Lake Forest. They rebuilt all of Hallis Hall. Where do you think they got that money? They didn't need a loan. They have lots of money, and there's no reason for them to give it up. It's in the family.
There's no reason for them. Some people say, well, maybe after Virginia dies, or maybe after George dies. None of the kids might want the organization. They might want to sell it.
They could. You want to wait for that?
No.
Nobody wants to.
Right.
Well, listen, I'm a fan first and foremost. Before I even do this show, I'm a fan, diehard fan. I am so sick of the mediocrity of this Chicago Bears team being a fan.
Yep.
All right, it's hard for me to even watch this team anymore. I found myself more so last year rooting against them and making bets against them than I did anything. Okay, fine. Call me a shitty fan.
You're a rich man if you bet against them.
Call me a shitty fan. Call me a shitty fan. But that's what it boils down to. And I caught a lot of gruff and a lot of gaff from that. That's fine. I get it. But I cannot be the only person in the Chicagoland area that feels this way about my Bears team.
So you're in the majority.
So how do the Bears make this thing whole again? How do we become a perennial team whole again? What is the goal?
Here's the thing, Mike. They've shown you that they don't know how to do that.
Okay, so how do we fix it? That's my question. How do we fix to be a team again?
You need an architect. Fred was 100% correct. You need an architect who understands football through and through. They thought Ryan Pace, who was an underling in New Orleans, would graduate to be that kind of guy. He has not proven to be that, and I don't think he ever will be. The only time they won the Super Bowl, Jim Finks, which is going back in time now, Jim Finks was the architect of the Bears with the great drafts that he had and everything else, and he turned them into a Super Bowl winning team. Ever since then, they've had, the Emerys and the Angelos and some of these other guys, and now Ryan Pace. They've all failed. So that's where it starts. You got to have somebody who understands the game, understands the league, and understands how to draft young players and develop them into winning football culture. And they just haven't done it.
There's a reason that when you see really good teams, they have really old coordinators. You know why? Because those old guys knew how to train, teach.
Dick LeBeau, baby. Dick LeBeau.
And it gets to a point where now you have the younger group. You have the younger guys who are now
teaching a different way and things like that.
and now teaching
guys
the old guys die off. They die off because they're not there anymore.
A lot of times you look at offense.
I mean,
the offenses that are out there.
There's a guy who's
The old guys just die.
Don Coryell?
Aaron Coryell. He puts an offense out there that offense worked for like 40 years. Okay, they ran it for 40 years. Yes. So I mean,
They just die.
It's weird. They do. They die off.
Literally and physically.
Yeah.
You know what the scary part? They hired Matt Nagy because supposedly he was an offensive-minded coach, but they hired him after the playoff game that he had with Kansas City when they were horrible.
Yeah, Matt Nagy
that
took the
playoff
coach's
game.
fucking way out of a wet paper bag at this point.
Well, I mean,
That's the way I feel about
he's
Matt
made a
Nagy.
lot of
That's
mistakes,
me.
obviously.
That's me. Okay, I'm sorry. That's me.
Everybody seems, you know what? One of the things as a coach is that you need to have everybody play for you, and the players all seem to play hard for them. And that's great. But if you don't know if you're telling them, if you're not giving them the right stuff, then they're going to look like the way they look now.
I mean, what's that old saying?
$1.50 to get back a gum, right?
Well, usually,
$1.50.
Is that what it's up to now?
And a pack of cigarettes.
It used to be that and 50 cents to give me a cup of coffee, but you can't do that anymore either.
All right, really quick, guys, before we continue, we're going to take a couple quick breaks. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, the John Durant team, over out in Homer Glen at the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. And we're going to also have a quick word from our guys over at Nick and Ivy Brewing Company out in Lockport, where they brew homemade beer. So just hang on for a second. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all, we truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the FatMIke Chicago Sports Show as well as the 1252 brand because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend. Or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
We need more money. And we're back. And like I said, we need more money. And we got to whore ourselves out. We're selling raffle tickets, people. We need money. We're broke. We're all out of work. But no, we're back here. All right, so now that we're back, we talked about the Andy Dalton debacle coming up here in Chicago. We all know what's coming up here in a few weeks. We got baseball season coming up, guys. We got Cubs, we got Sox. Everything's hitting off. I love the way Jock Peterson's looking, Jock Strap. I like him. I dig him a lot. But the hottest team in town right now, and everybody knows, is the Chicago White Sox. So, on that note, what do you guys feel about the Chicago White Sox team? How do you think they're going to end up finishing this year?
Let's start with Angelo, who's north of the border. Go ahead. Tell us about the Brewers.
So I do live in Wisconsin. I hate watching the Brewers play. I do catch some Sox games here and there. I'm excited because I really think that. Well, I don't like the Sox. I'm a Cubs fan myself. But if I was a Sox fan, I'd be really pumped about this team. You put a lot of key pieces in this offseason. Got an arm, got somebody to play in the outfield. The bats are young. I really think that they might be one piece away, but you can look at adding towards the trade deadline if you need to. That's a long way off. But I think if they can start hot, they'll just continue to roll the whole season.
Well, the one thing I think what they've done, for some reason they really love Dylan Cease. I kind of like Dane Dunning, and when they made the trade for Lance Lynn, they sent Dunning there. I would have rather sent Dylan Cease there, but they like what Dylan Cease does. Didn't have 3 innings the other day. Could look really good against the Cubs on Monday. Giolito, Keuchel, Lynn, I have no problem with those guys. Their bullpen is great. Okay, their bullpen has a lot of great arms. They have guys who can throw hard. So they can bring Aaron Bummer throwing his cutter and stuff like that. I think that they'll be able to hit the ball. Mike asked me a week ago. David knows this too. There's a lot of times in baseball where teams go on hitting slumps. Not 1 or 2 guys, but the entire team. That's the only thing that could hurt this team is if they go into hitting slump, because there's so much talent with the bat on this team, top down. I think Luis Roberts going to get even better after he had that bad September last year. I think Eloy's going to continue to hit. Rayer's going to continue to hit. Moncada's going to be healthy. They've got so much hitting. Tim Anderson's going to keep going. Rondell's going to have to do some hitting from the catcher position because they don't have McCann this year, and I think they're going to need that. I don't know about the Adam Eaton thing. I'm not the biggest Adam Eaton fan. We'll see what he can do in the outfield and when he can get on base. But they don't have a lot of. I definitely think they're the favorite in the division. Everybody keeps saying Cleveland. We've been hearing Cleveland for a long time. Cleveland's pitchers get hurt every year. Every single year.
Before the season, I'm pretty sure the Sox were projected to finish 3rd in the division.
Yeah, that's
kind of crazy.
I know.
That's that stupid Picada thing or whatever that is, which is wrong every year. Every year. Yeah. Here's the way I look at the White Sox. It's always about pitching. I don't care what team you're talking about in what league. And with the White Sox, you have a lot of. Not only do you have a good starting 5. You're not even talking about Michael Kopech, who, in my hope, is someday will be the best of all those guys. So, I mean, you're going to start him initially in the bullpen, whether he pitches long relief or mid relief or even, sets up whatever. But you got Giolito to start with. You got Lance Lynn. You got Dallas Keuchel, who, by the way, got engaged to Kelly Nash. He is. Oh my God. He is. Not only is he one lucky man, but we're lucky because she'll be around the ballpark all season long. So that's a great omen for the White Sox, by the way.
Really
I mean, Dylan Cease was probably the best minor league pitcher 2 years ago. And, he took his lumps last year with the White Sox. And, Lopez is really, either great or horrendous. If they can harness him, that's another great arm. We haven't even talked about Kopech. And then, you got Crochet, who throws 100 miles an hour, and then you got that great bullpen. So I'm not really worried about the hitting overall, Fred, because when the hitting goes into a tailspin, I think they have enough pitching overall. Now, some people are worried about Tony La Russa. He was our first manager when we first broke him. He'll still be a pain in the ass. But I'm not worried about his management. I don't think he can screw this up. I think the White Sox win the division, and then we'll see what happens after that.
The guys I'm really excited about on this White Sox team, Fred, I've discussed this with you. I've discussed it with Scott Merkin over at MLB.com. Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
I really like this kid. He's got I described him with Angelo when we were on with Scott and when we were on with you too. The kid is built like Carlos Zambrano. He's got that wide frame, boy, and he can shut.
Yeah.
Big shoulders, fat ass, wide hips. He's gonna, and he delivers too, man. He throws that ball hard as fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for that kid. I do think he can potentially be a starter for this team.
Down the road.
Oh yeah, down the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Lance Lynn's not going to be there for very long.
Just so you know, I am Lance Lynn. I just shaved my face. I am Lance Lynn. I'm on break right now doing a private show.
You want to be Dallas Keuchel because he is engaged to Kelly Nash.
Oh, well, no, listen. When the White Sox signed Lance Lynn, it was all over Twitter that it was me.
I started that rumor.
Yeah.
That you've never seen FatMIke and Lance Lynn in the same
Exactly.
place.
That's right. Exactly.
So I
Just
think
like
that
you've never
there's a
seen.
little
Right.
just like Clark Kent and Superman.
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly. I am Lance Lynn. I'm just here on break right now. That's all it's going
Yeah,
on.
David's right. They're pitching. They're 4 and 5 starters. I think Keuchel will be fine. It's a bummer that he pitched so.
I think Keuchel will be fine.
It's a bummer that he pitched so badly
in game
playoffs
last year.
As you would expect.
I like how you threw that in. That was really clever.
He's the guy that they went out to get to be the number 2 starter, and then he pitched pretty well during the year. And then when they needed him playoff time, he couldn't do it. And even he's bummed out about that. So hopefully he steps up. I think Lance Lynn's going to give you a ton of innings. He's going to be out there all the time, and that's good too. So it's those. You didn't mention Carlos Rodon. I've always liked what Carlos Rodon has. Like he could never just but I can stay healthy. And I like that they gave him another chance. If he's healthy and pitches the whole year, I'd love to see what he can
And that's why I say you can never have enough pitching. If you have Carlos Rodon, who was an incredibly high draft pick when he came out of college, and at times with that slider that he has, if he's healthy and if he can harness his talent, and you have him in reserve, or even have your number 5 pitcher, that tells you how talented this pitching staff is.
That's going to be great. It's going to be tough for them to cut down.
So what do you guys think about Lopez?
Well, I think Lopez is up in his head. I think Lopez
is sometimes he'll have 1 inning or he'll walk a guy and he'll get into his head, and then he gives up a hit here and a hit there. I think he lets it get to him. You gotta forget things. I mean, it's kind of like a quarterback or something like that. You get beat, you got to forget, you got to go right back out there. And I don't think he has that yet. I think he lets it still get to him too much. I think if they can work on that, I know they changed his arm slot a little bit, his arm swing and stuff like that. We'll see if Ethan Katz, the new pitching coach, works wonders with him like he's done in the past with Lucas Giolito. We'll see if that works.
I think that's really key right there, Fred, because obviously Don Cooper had 3 years with Lopez and just could not harness consistency out of this guy. Ethan Katz, and I wouldn't know if he walked into this room right now. But Ethan, come on up and get a prize. But we'll see what he can do because the early word is that they like to go around him, yada, yada, yada. So we'll see.
So what do you guys think the Achilles heel of this team would be going into next season?
For every team, injuries. You can't defend against injuries. People say, well, you got to have a deeper team. Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough to have a deeper team. If one of your studs gets hurt,
it's tough to have a deeper team. And what are you difficult?
For some reason,
one guy gets hurt, every ground ball, every fly ball goes to the guy that's filling in for him. So you got to keep everybody healthy. That's why I'm so excited to see Moncada healthy after last year, after getting COVID and everything else. Keep Tim Anderson healthy. If Anderson goes down, you don't have another shortstop, really. You have Lurie Garcia playing there, who, amazingly, Lurie Garcia is one of the most consistent guys on the team. He can play every position just about, and he's pretty damn consistent. So, you've got somebody, but injuries, it always comes down to injuries. Same with pitchers. You get a pitcher or 2 hurt, you're in trouble. That's the one nice thing about them last year. Starters were not hurt. They were pretty much out there.
Injuries for sure, Angelo. I guess it might be nitpicking, although defense is important on any baseball team. I worry a little bit about defense. I think Adam needs an upgrade in right field. He's a center fielder by trade, but he can play right field as well. Robert is, of course, going to be great in center field. I guess they're just going to, go with God, I'm spacing out on his name right now in left field. Help me.
Eloy
Jimenez.
Eli's coming.
You're welcome.
Near you.
All right, so he's going to be in left field. Moncada, I can go both ways with him. Anderson, of course, has gotten so much better.
That's funny because Moncada hits from both sides of the plate.
That's right. Well, yeah, he gets to go both ways. A connotation. We're not going with that.
Angelo and Mike go blue.
That's next week's show.
magical.
Okay.
And Magical, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Magical to know what kind of defense he is. And then, of course, at first base, they always bitch about Abreu, but I think he plays the position.
Rams are fucking stuck. Where else can you buy 30 home runs and 100 RBIs and bat 300 every year?
Usually you can do it on the north side with Rizzo.
Not 300 every year. You can get 270 out of it, 285 out of it, not 300.
Yeah.
The one thing that I picked up with you guys talking here is Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate this dude.
Why? Why would you hate him?
A lot of people do because of the flash and the flair.
Yeah.
I love that fucking dude. He makes baseball fun and he makes baseball exciting. I like that out of that guy, and he kicks ass. I mean, the guy he brings more flair, more flash to the game to make it more appealing to the youth side of things. How do you guys? Now I know this was the question earlier on when the Sox had hired La Russa. How do you think La Russa tolerates that young flash, that young flair, and that young egotisticalness that is a part of Tim Anderson?
You know, that was a topic of discussion when he was first hired because La Russa is a little bit of a fuddy-duddy from his past and all that kind of stuff, and he's old school. Listen, he's been handed an incredible opportunity to get back not only to the World Series, but add a fourth title. You know what? And Ryan Storff and Rick Hahn have told him the game has changed, at least from the last time you were managing, which was, 10 years ago, give or take. And so this is the way it is. If you've got a talented team, let it ride.
Right.
And so, listen, I don't think he'll have a problem. He's got a chance to get another world title to his, and been given an incredible opportunity. I don't think that'll be a problem at all.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. The reason people used to think I hated Tim Anderson. It wasn't that I hated him, but people have to remember,
This is a guy, he led the American League in hitting.
this is a guy in hitting a couple years ago.
He also
led the American League
in errors.
Right.
Okay.
He needed to work. You can hit the ball all you want. You can do all those things, but you need to play some defense. And he didn't play it. Last year he got better. So as he's getting better, playing defense, I'm more accepting of him. People say, well, you're just, no. If you're not playing defense, I'm going to criticize you. That's an important part. He made an error earlier this week, and people I know, they said immediately as soon as the ball went through his legs, I was thinking about you because I knew you'd be upset. I saw it. I knew he shouldn't have happened, but his defense has gotten better. He's really a good team guy. I don't mind the bat flips. People think I'm crazy because they figure I'm the guy that hates the bat flips. The old man hates the bat flips. I don't care. Bat flips are fine. But make sure the ball gets out of the park.
Yes.
Javi Baez.
Yes.
Make sure the ball gets out of the park, Wilson Contreras. Make sure the ball gets out before you flip your bat. Right. You can't be doing that. You got to make sure the ball's gone.
See, I like that though. I like that.
Now it doesn't go out,
What's the point of standing there watching the ball if it bounces?
It's every player in Major League Baseball nowadays.
No, not if it's not going out, you can't do it.
Especially the Cubs.
Every criticism you can get. Everybody can pile on. And the player should say, the player should say, hey, my bad. That's what they say. That's what the kids say, right? My bad. So yeah, they'll say my bad and go from there. So they still say my bad, I think, right? So.
All right, time now to give away another gift here. Don't forget, we got raffle prizes. This is
Give
the
me
night.
an easy one, Dave. Give me an easy
Give
one.
an easy one. Okay.
Who's number 21?
Well, that's not a question. Raffle prizes here, but here we go. Here's a trivia question. How easy do you want me to make this?
Pretty easy.
All right, but if you won once, you can't win a second time. Sorry. No, you're right. We handed one to you. That's a difference. Where did Scottie Pippen go to college? What college is? No. What do you say? No. What college did Scottie Pippen go to?
No.
Say it.
No.
I can't do it on the bat.
Close. Good enough.
The guy in the back.
Where was it?
Central Arkansas.
It's close enough. She wins.
She wins.
That guy.
University of Phoenix.
Here, you hand it out. You hand it out.
Mike, get one for the other guy too.
Yeah, it was a tie.
Yeah.
Tie goes to the runner.
Right.
Where was that guy?
All the way back there.
Oh, I see him.
Alan, this guy. Yeah, we'll get it for him.
There you go.
Okay, let's go to the Cubs because there's more questions.
I don't want to talk about the Cubs, so you make me upset.
Let's talk about the Cubs. So you trade your best pitcher.
Yeah.
You Darvish goes, you get Zach Davies back.
Yeah.
You got some of the softest tossing pitchers.
Yes.
Probably guys pitching softball.
91.
Chicago area that are pitching softball.
Harder than him.
Give me four Jenny Finch. I'll take it over what we got now.
I'll take Jenny.
The Cubs are definitely relying heavily on their defense this year with the amount of soft pitch that they have going
Are
forward.
you excited? You think Nico Horner's going to be their second baseman all year?
Yes. I like what I've seen out of Nico Horner thus far. This kid has been beating the shit out of the ball in spring training.
Let me tell you about spring training. It means less than
I know.
I've been out to spring training years and years and years, and I saw ball players that were unbelievable in spring training. Corey Patterson was going to be the next Willie Mays. Felix was going to be the next Joe DiMaggio from Neither one did.
Matt Merton. Yeah.
So spring training is less than nothing.
We have a question on YouTube. Our guy Roger Morris wants to know how you guys think Jock Peterson will help improve the Cubs.
There we go.
I don't know if he's going to help improve them, but I think obviously he's going to play a lot. He's been given the opportunity to play, not just against right-hander or left-hander, both. He's basically Kyle Schwarber, probably with a little bit more on-base percentage. Again, here's a guy in spring training who's having an unbelievable spring training. You just got to do it in the regular season. He broke in with the Dodgers. I think he was rookie, wasn't he? Okay, he was really good his rookie year, and then he sort of tailed off and became a platoon outfielder. But he's going to be given the opportunity by the Cubs to play all the time. He only signed a one-year contract, so obviously he can't do that himself. He'll be okay, but he's not going to be a world beater.
I didn't want him on the White Sox.
A couple of years ago, there was this talk he was going to come to the White Sox. I didn't want him this year. If they were looking for a left-handed DH, I thought bring him in. They did. The Cubs grabbed him, and I think he's the kind of guy. He is a homer guy. And it'd be nice if he could average up a little bit. The Cubs had a lot of players last year who had horrible averages. Absolutely. I know the analytics people right now are shaking their head. Average doesn't mean anything. Well, you know what? An average still means something.
Right.
It shows up. When Kyle Schwarber hits 203, that means something. Okay?
Right, something's wrong.
Yeah, so you got to get guys to get on base, and that's what
You got to get guys to get all about it. He's getting on base. I know they talk about the 3 true outcomes and strikeout and walk and home runs and stuff like that. You need to get some guys on base, get some action going, get some things happening. And if Jack Peterson can do that, I think it's going to help. I'm really excited. I thought Ian Happ had a great year last year.
Wait, say that again.
Ian Happ played better this year. To be honest, even though they paid him way too much money for way too long of a time, Jason Hayward played well last year for the Cubs.
Yeah, hopefully he starts to turn that page towards the later end of this contract. And you're like,
I got a couple things to potentially financially
in
your favor.
You look at guys like Jake Arrieta, who's coming back to the Cubs. Can he kind of recapture some of that magic? I don't think it'll be as good, but maybe that fourth spot on the rotation, you kind of hope you can get a couple innings out of him, burn some games. If he wants to.
Jake Arrieta might be the one guy that throws hard in this pitching staff.
He's I know spring training isn't anything, but he's actually looked pretty solid this spring training. I know we're not getting Jake Arrieta of 2015, 2016. The velocity's way down. The movement on the ball is way down from what I've seen personally watching them on Arcade Network when they're not showing 1982 fucking weightlifting or arm wrestling Olympics. All right, I'm not bad mouthing them. I'm just saying.
Arcade or the Olympics?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Arm wrestling Olympics. Both.
Here's another thing about Arrieta. I mean, was it 3 years he played with the Phillies? He got 75 million 3 years.
Injuries.
That's where I was going to go. He had a lot of problems with his arm and his elbow and his shoulder. I don't know what else. So if he's healthy, even though his velocity is down, he still has style. He's a veteran pitcher. Will the Cubs score enough runs to be able to last his innings to get the win? And that bullpen might let him a lot also.
Especially with Kimbrel.
Oh my God, Lord!
That was probably one of the worst decisions I've seen Theo make.
Theo got out. He got out when the getting was good.
Well, one of the major criticisms of Theo I've seen, and listen, he won 2 in Boston, he won 1 with the Cubs. He'll go to the Hall of Fame someday because he won those 2, franchise someday. But he's also been terrible in signing free agents in his career. You talk about the Bears giving away a lot of bad players. I mean, not only in Boston, but with the Cubs, he gave away so much money.
Yeah.
But again, he won the 1 World Series, and that's really the bottom line.
Well, you have to realize the one thing he did do is he came up with great trades because they got Arrieta in a trade. They got Kyle Hendricks in a trade. They did sign John Lester, which was the best free agent signing he had. Many people say it's the best free agent signing that any Chicago team ever had. Because what John Lester was able to do. So
because what John Lester, it was funny. That was the one thing he was very honest about. I know people say, well, they're very honest. And, you know what? Nobody should be honest. You're a general manager of a team, and you're putting a team together. I don't want you to be honest. I want you to do a good job.
That's right.
But he was honest. He said, we're going to draft our position players, and we're going to buy and trade for pitching. That's what they did, and look where it got them. It worked. I'm just shocked that the guys they did draft. Think about it. All the tanking led to 4 players.
Yep.
The tanking led to them getting Almora, Bryant, Schwarber, and Happ. That's it.
Schwarber, all those years.
Yeah, they got 2 of them out.
2 of them aren't even on the team.
Right.
They only got 2 of them out.
They got. So I asked the question numerous times. Every company said, yes, it's worth it. Well, between that and trading to get the reliever, and you get rid of Gleyber Torres. Was 1 World Series worth it? Could you have not won with another closer? Did you have to go and get him? Or Aroldis Chapman? Was it necessary to trade a player that's going to be a star for years and years to get that 1 World Series? And most Cub fans look, yes, it was. It was worth it. It was
Me
all worth
being
it.
a diehard.
It was worth it. Yeah.
No. No way.
Really?
I disagree.
Yes.
I think the fact
After 108 years?
Yes, that's
After
what I was
108
gonna say. Yeah, okay, so it didn't go as long as we wanted, right? You get the 1, right? There's people who have lived and died that have never seen that, right? We got to witness that 1 World Series from the Chicago Cubs.
I get it.
And for the rest of my life, I'll be able to share that moment.
I get it.
But so I think it was 100% worth it.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'd much rather see this team be like I always refer to it as the evil empire of the New York Yankees from the late 90s to the early 2000s. I'd much rather have seen that team be consistent and constantly in the playoffs, constantly fighting for that World Series like those late 90s, early 2000s Yankee teams, with Gleyber Torres at second base and Javier Baez at second.
How nice would that have been? Huh?
Could you imagine that right now? Especially right now, having Gleyber Torres as your second baseman, Chris Bryant as your third baseman.
Yeah.
Put some Palooka at the closer, other than Kimbrel, mind you. All right. Put some Palooka over there, and you're right in the same boat.
The biggest problem is it's a problem because it didn't pan out. They always preach sustained success.
Right.
And that's what you thought they were going to have with Bryant and Rizzo and Baez and Contreras.
The evil empire.
You thought they would have sustained success. Now, think about it. Sustained success is making the playoffs 5 out of 6 years.
Right.
That's successful, okay? Just because they didn't win, you can't blame you really can't blame the organization for not winning in the playoffs. They build the team to get you there, and then the players got to perform.
I agree with
And unfortunately, they didn't perform. Even in 07 and 08, I talk to Cubs about this all the time. 07 and 08, we ripped Dusty Baker. Because they got to the playoffs years early, not play postseason.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Let me ask you guys, do you think Joe Madden was made the scapegoat then?
100%.
Okay.
I think
Joe Madden did everything he possibly
to blow that World Series.
I agree. He made but every coach makes questionable calls, right?
Questionable.
I mean,
Talk about highly questionable.
okay,
man.
highly
What do you mean
questionable,
there, man.
But did he get the job done?
No,
Well, I
the
mean-
players did. He didn't do dick. The players did. He outmanaged himself.
Well, then maybe that's plenty of times, definitely.
It's funny because and I was at the games in Cleveland, and they bitch about what he did in Game 7. Honestly, I thought he screwed up Game 6 so bad by having Chapman pitch as many innings as he did when they had the big lead, especially after they had a home run to the Cubs. Who was it? Was it Rizzo hit a home run in the 9th inning? They gave him an incredible lead at that point, and he brought Chapman out, and I think it was like 9-2 at that point. And Chapman came out and pitched the 9th inning. There was no point. His arm was just hanging from his shoulder by Game 7. So I thought Joe Madden was a terrible manager in both those Cleveland games. But the weather was so nice and they won anyway.
I the next rating you're going to be upset about.
I was pissed off.
I've heard that story. I've heard this story. Gabe was not a happy camper. I've heard this story.
Oh, that was 1 hour of sleep that night.
Oh my God! Yeah, that starts raining.
All right, time out. We're going to give away another $10 gift certificate to Nick and Ivy's brewing company in Lockport.
Trivia!
Make this a nice, easy Cub question. For somebody who hasn't won already, who got the save in Game 7 for the Cubs when they won the World Series in 2016? Who got the save? Not him. There you go.
There you go. Montgomery.
I would have said it if I understood.
There you go. Thank you.
Sure you will.
Way to win your own prize, dickhead.
No, that's cool. Yeah. So, but it's it was great that they won. You just you expected more. You expected more out of them. You expected those guys to be able to win. But they got to the playoffs. Okay, you get to the playoffs, you expect to win, but you need your players.
I'll let you do that one.
They kept preaching, oh, well, the back of the baseball card, they'll show up. And they just never showed up in the key spots where you needed them to show up.
No.
They held on to some of these guys way too long, and now they're like Chris Bryant, right? Chris Bryant did a lot of good for this Cubs team. But at this point in time, is he worth signing?
No.
100% no.
You know what? No. Did they wait too long to trade him?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Chris Bryant has
been
been one of the same players since he's gotten hit in the dome.
Nope.
Plain and
You're right.
simple.
You're 100%
He's gotten
right.
bumped in the head. He's not been the same guy.
Let's see, the rest of Major League Baseball is not stupid. They may have been able to get rid of him, but you may not have gotten much for him because of that exact thing. He has struggled the last couple of years since getting hit. So I don't know if that's the problem. I always think it was pitchers and figured out how to pitch him. For years, even when he was red hot, I said, don't ever throw him a ball below the waist. He's going to kill it. And he always did.
Right.
You throw him a fastball waist high or higher, he's
Nipple
not,
high,
he's
he
not
ain't touching it.
He's going to pop it up. You see all the balls he pops up now? He pops up more than Frank Thomas used to at the end of his career. Or in the playoffs against Toronto. Frank Thomas used to pop up all the time.
Popped it up.
Oh,
So end question on baseball here. Who has the better season? Both teams are pretty. Both teams
White Sox.
Yeah.
By far.
White Sox? Saying White Sox.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. I mean, the Cubs will be lucky
How
if they're
many
500.
how many games different?
Yeah, at least 10.
10?
I say 12.
12 is basically what the odds are saying because they have the White Sox predicted at 91.5 and the Cubs at 78.5, I think it is, or 79.5, one of the two. So it's like 11 or 12.
I might take that bet. As a gullible Cub fan, living like
Always
Angelo.
talk about me being the meathead.
That's how we
Bears
call it.
fan.
That's what we call it here. It's to living like Angelo.
That's what you call it?
Yeah, he's still betting on Bronco Nagurski to score a touchdown.
No, that's not true. I just rode the Cole Kmet first touchdown
Every week.
way too long.
From week 1 to week 17.
Hey, but it did pay off one time, so it did. Once.
Yeah, did you have you had first touchdown?
Yeah, first touchdown.
Yeah, he was big odds, right?
Yeah.
90 something, wasn't it? 90 to 1 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was like week 6. He
Cap
finally
had it.
got it, first one.
Cap had it that week, yeah. Yeah.
You look so angry saying it.
Yeah, well, yeah. He needed the 100 whatever it was. I'm sure it was more than a $5 bet like I made. I made a $5 bet today on the Bulls in the over. Right now they're
66-48.
They're scoring like crazy. This is early third or mid third?
Late third.
Not enough. I was going to go under. I should have went under. It is 2:23. You never know what happens late in games, but. Yeah.
Can I complain about Wisconsin for one quick second? That's one
The whole
thing.
state or a team?
The whole state.
The
fact that sports betting isn't legal in Wisconsin.
Why is that?
Because they live in 1700s.
There's money to be made.
I know.
I've never understood why it took so long, even in Illinois, for it to happen.
David and I know because we worked.
David and I were a company called Counter Communications where we did a lot of horse racing results.
And for the state of Illinois,
they waited as
all
long
they
as
say
they
have,
have
they'll
to
put
put
slot machines and casinos and racetracks. Balmora would have stayed open. Maywood would have stayed open. All these tracks and horse racing would have been still big. When the Bears were practicing in Platteville, I would drive on an off night. I would drive from Platteville to Dubuque, Iowa. They had Greyhound racing. It was like a 30-minute ride. They had Greyhound racing and casinos. And this is when the Bears practiced in Platteville. So it shows you how long ago it was in Iowa.
The state of Illinois for not doing this earlier is just a joke. A complete joke. Now that they're finally doing it, there's so many different. Barstool just started. A couple other ones just started. They're, Bet Rivers, FanDuel, DraftKings.
There's so many of them. I've lost money in several of them already. Points bet. I have an account that's got $1.50 in there. What can I do with that?
So, Angelo, what is the reasoning of Wisconsin?
I think that they just can't agree on anything on the political
Is it
spectrum.
Brian Johnson? Is he screwing this thing up again too?
I don't like to get political, but yes. I mean, it's
yes.
This is a sports show, but it's definitely the two sides can never agree on anything. Okay. So,
since Fred brought up the racetrack.
Yeah.
Brought up the racetrack. Arlington Park racetrack.
Yeah. Arlington Park.
Future home of the Bears.
No, they're not bought it.
See, the problem is the Bears won't pay for it.
Right.
So unless someone else bought it. Now,
I mean, honestly, that's like the amount of space that's there.
oh yeah, that's the amount. The space is perfect, but a lot of people talk about it. It's first of all, it's expensive property. The Bears will not pay that kind of money. The city's not going to pay that kind of money, and so there were people thought that the White Sox should have built out there years ago. White Sox aren't moving anywhere. Guaranteed rate field is a place they're going to play at forever. They're not going to change there.
There won't be.
White Sox never play another home game anywhere unless it's a
one or two.
Anywhere besides guaranteed rate or the ballpark on 35th and the Dan Ryan.
All right.
In our lifetime.
Last question here.
Yeah.
Last question I got for you guys. Should the Bears move to Arlington Heights? That's been a big thing.
If
you're talking about
if
it,
somebody else owned them, that would be a possibility. But with the McCaskies owning them, like I said, you'd have to have the McCaskies buy them. Why are they going to spend their money to buy a stadium? If they were smart, they might consider it because you would have NCAA tournaments, put a dome over it, Super Bowls, concerts, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think they're making enough money the way they are. I don't think why they would want to lay out that much money to build a stadium. I could be wrong. I hope I am.
Because then again, if they did build their own stadium and the parking and all the other stuff that come with it, it's got to be in their pocket, just like
all of it would be in their
just like
pocket.
Worse did
Yeah.
with Chicago State. Because right now the White Sox don't get a dime.
No.
Yeah. So.
Or is it all private entities?
That's all private.
The nuts get it.
Loyola.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
It would be smart for the Bears to do it. Upgrade the facility. It's a little bit further drive. I've heard the argument, well, then they're not the Chicago. Get out of here. Get out of here. The Cowboys don't play in Dallas.
Hey, the New York Giants don't even play in New York.
Right. Like, build
East
a...
Rutherford. Hey, Angela, how many times have we said this? Fuck all New York sports teams.
Like you build a state-of-the-art stadium, you can put a sports book in there, like Fred and Dave said, you can do concerts, all this stuff. It makes so much sense, and that's why I don't think the Bears are...
Since it makes sense, they won't do it.
And that's already there. That building is there. Keep it. Add on to that.
Yeah, I think someone else is going to build it. You're going to have a company. You're going to have an Amazon or somebody else buy the space for a warehouse.
A big warehouse.
It's not going to be something like that. So.
All right, another trivia question here for a $10 gift card to Nick and Ivy's Brewing Company in Lockport. We'll do this a hockey question for anybody who hasn't won. Don't forget, there's great raffle prizes up here for a few dollars contribution. Blackhawk question. When they won the Stanley Cup in Game 6 against Boston, they scored 2 goals in 17 seconds. to come back and win Game 6 and win the Stanley Cup. Name the two or even one of them. That's one. Who's the other one? That's correct.
There we go. All right. Round of applause for this guy. All right.
Pass him out.
There we go, man.
Well time. That was a good one. I thought that was a nice average.
That's a good one.
Tough question.
You know what's funny about that game? My puppy, my dog Kobo was a puppy at that time. All right, he was a little guy, little shit stinker. I went downstairs during a commercial break, let him outside because he had to pee.
Those dogs always know when to pee.
He had to go potty. I let him outside. I come back upstairs.
You missed it?
And they're celebrating the cup. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me!
Yep.
I was so pissed. I was like,
That's one thing in Wisconsin that we can all kind of agree on up there is Blackhawks are kind of the hockey team. It's between the Wild
What
and the
about the
Blackhawks.
Milwaukee Admirals?
They're not professional, Mike.
They are
No,
professional.
they're not. They're
You got hockey.
Pro team.
No, AHL, come on.
It's
still a team.
They can't beat the Wolves.
All right, guys. On that note, we are out of here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors, the John Doreen team over at Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, supporting us and having us coming on and having them support us throughout this live show. Thank you to the Sock Bar and Grill out here out in Hickory Hills for having us do this raffle. Having Fred, Dave, and Angelo come on here and greet all the audience.
Yep.
And then thank you to Nick and Ivy Brewing Company out in Lockport, Illinois.
I can't wait to get out there again.
I know, I can't wait either.
I need someone else to drive though.
Next, Ubers, Fred.
I don't know. So
Meet at my house. We'll Uber there. We'll have a good time. Nick and Ivy Brewing Company, thank you guys so much for supporting us, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show. On that note, we are out of here, and we will see you guys next week live for another Wednesday night Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show.
I look forward.
You guys take care. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.